What do most people not realize is a huge waste of money? Funerals. When I die, just throw me in the trash. People always say this. But the funeral isn't for the dead person. It's for the people left behind to come together and grieve. Obviously don't spend a ton of money. But some people like to gather around remains. Share memories. Let out some emotions. And give the death some ceremony as part of their process for working through their grief. The dead don't need any process for working through their grief. They are already dead. This might be slightly off topic, but tea annoyed me nonetheless. The other day, an Audi commercial came on. It was about a woman working at a good job but instead opted to quit and start her own business. The first thing she does is buy a brand new ducking Audi SUV. How are you going to start your own business when you just dropped a shit ton of money to buy that new car? As a smoker, cigarettes by far the idiotic addiction I have. I would say a lot of baby toys. You spend hundreds on certain flashy, expensive gifts that just sit unused in the corner. And then they play with that trinket you picked up from the pound shop all the time. I know it's a bit cliche, but my experience so far is that kids often just want to play with a cardboard box, so to speak. You don't need to spend hundreds on a 1-3-year-old in terms of toys and games. I used to work at IKEA and the one item that kids would have tantrums over are the dish brushes that have the suction part at the end. Kids have such a wild imagination, so there really is no point in buying them expensive toys. They will play with what they find. Big ass weddings. It's okay if you can afford it. But if you're gonna be in debt, then what's the point? In my case, my father-in-law was willing to spend money on the wedding but would let us have a cheap wedding and use the rest for a down payment on a house. So we had a $22,000 wedding. $22,000 unfortunately seems like the average these days. My GS friend was just telling her the lighting stage setup she wanted was almost $10,000 alone. Anything you buy on sale that you weren't planning to buy in the first place gives you that rush of buying something when you feel like you're getting a good deal. Paying $400 billion, 400 bill, for a fiber network system that was never delivered. Truth story. Edit, that number is correct. I accidentally typed for bill at the end instead of 400 bill. Every time this gets brought up I die a little more inside. Where is the accountability man? Like what, the actual duck? Where is the ducking oversight? I'm honestly confused as to why someone hasn't raised actual hell over this. Businessmen and politicians don't go to jail in this country unless the rest of them need a scapegoat. Even then, it's a slap on the wrist. Bank fees just for having an account. Get the to a credit union. Edit, your mileage may vary. People. Point is, it pays to shop around. Not in Poland. Credit unions are as backwards. And in regular banks you pay no fees if you use your debit card few times a month. Super easy. Even your mom and pop veggie store has a payment terminal nowadays. Pyramid schemes such as it works etc. Painfully exaggerated eye roll. I seriously hate it works. The thing that's the most infuriating to me are the people who brag about what a blessing it's been for them financially and how they're almost out of debt just doing it on the side. Then they post pictures of the checks they get but blur out how much the check was for. I'm like, itch. That check could be for $5 stinking bucks. If you want to convince me it's profitable to join up, show me some actual numbers. Timeshares. Almost never worth it. And the maintenance fees alone for the privilege of owning 1 or 2 weeks a year, shared with dozens of others, is simply throwing money away. My brother and I have one that we actually make money on, usually $1,000, $1,500 per person per year, and it's still almost not worth it for the sheer frustration of getting it rented. We didn't buy it either. It was our parents. Existing. It's cheaper to return to the void. Microtransactions in video games. Had a friend who spent more than $300 on Fortnite. This guy I worked with used to brag to me every week that he bought everything in the item store on Fortnite that week. Something like $400 a month on ducking Fortnite. The cherry on top was this guy was 27 and always trying to bum rides and complaining about not being able to afford a car. He lived with his grandparents too. Yeah dude, I'm so jealous of you. Oh, you got the Raven skin? Cool. I have a house and a car. For the record, I also played Fortnite. Which is why he was bragging to me about skins. Y'all can't stop messaging me defending Fortnite. Huge birthday parties for a baby turning 1 year old. Parents that take their kids on vacations they won't remember. Apparently I went to Disney World when I was 1ish. Thanks mom and dad. My parents refused to take the 4 of us kids to Disney until the last 2 were over 10. Meaning I was around 14 and my older sister was graduating high school. Mom didn't want to haul around the double stroller for the younger 2. I was a hyper little sheet when I was younger. And none of us were ready for the big rides until we were older. We itched and complained when we were younger. But when we finally went, we realized what it would have been like for my mom with all us as youngsters and were able to appreciate it more. As an assistant teacher at a preschool, this may seem silly to everyday life, but in preschool daycare life I hate when parents waste so much money on specific diets and essential oils on their children who don't need or use them. Stop sending your child in with your Wanderlust Apple Crush essential oil. Yeah, it's in quotes for a reason. We all know it's bullshit juice. Obligatory edit. I'm off work and tipsy as duck since it's VBS, let this post die. Not buying things you use a lot in bulk. You just offended my 64 ounces Tajin bottle that has been collecting dust for 6 months. Lottery tickets and cigarettes. I'll throw $10 at the Powerball when it gets to $500 million. Duck it. It's fun to fantasize about and it's not like I'm putting money away on it more than a couple of times a year. Diamonds. Yep. Anyone who tries to sell a used diamond is in for the cold slap of reality. I felt a horrible slap of reality's big dick giving me a mushroom stamp last year when I was trying to get rid of an engagement ring. I paid just shy of $8,000 for it. I was offered $650 for it and it is currently sitting in my closet. For those in the market for an engagement ring, do not convince yourself that it is an investment in any way, shape, or form. It is a trinket that we are brainwashed into believing defines our love for someone else. Realizing this now when I'm having a kid, all of the baby stuff that will at most get used once. Constantly eating out. Making your own meals is usually cheaper depending on what you make. If you're on your own you can usually get several meals out of one meal. Starbucks. If you're going to buy fancy coffee, support your local coffee shops. They are usually less expensive than Starbucks and the coffee is just as good. Not shopping the deals at the grocery store and meal planning. If you will eat it or use it before it goes bad, buy it while it is on sale and save. Like toothpaste is expensive, takes hard-earned money away from fun things. If it goes on sale twice a year, buy a few tubes at $1.50 vs the $5. Same goes with cleaning supplies. And cupboard food. Buying drinks at the bar. Just pre-game really hard. Your wallet will thank you later but your liver not so much. This is what you learn in college. Food delivery services like DoorDash. Amazing way to turn a $7 burrito into a $17 burrito. Confession. I still do it about 4 times a week. Extended warranties. Anytime a retailer offers an extended warranty, I decline it and put that money in a savings account. Normally I don't need it. However, when I do, I pull that from savings and repair the item or buy a new one. I've been doing this for 20ish years. I just checked my balance and I have over $8,000 in there. That is insanely smart. And a LPT I've never heard. Kudos. Alcohol. I know a guy who found God and stopped going out to bars and clubs with his work and college buddies. After a year he went back and did the math and was spending 10% of his income on alcohol. That was more than he paid in taxes. Getting the newest smartphone every year is a total waste. Nobody needs a new one every year. Although I'm part of the problem for sure. Owning a boat. My grandpa bought his most recent boat for $28,000 and within 4 years had spent $30,000 on fuel, general maintaining costs, storage, insurance and one fairly cheap repair. Boats. In a vacuum. Boats are not a waste of money. But I say boats because there is a strong contrast between the number of people who own at least one boat and the number of people who actively use their boats. Source, anecdotal. But I know too many people who bought a boat and used it maybe 3-5 times over a 10-year period. Dollar stores. They are a complete racket and designed to prey on the poor. For $1 you get 1/3 of something that costs $2 at Walmart. Not true. Depends a lot on what you buy. Terrible for food generally. But bathroom supplies and plastic products, like solo cups, are often just as good and half the price. There are terrible deals at the dollar store, sure. But you can't say the same thing about Walmart. Driving across town for gas that's 5 cents cheaper. Designer anything. Oh. You got a $300 Gucci hat? I got a practically identical hat for $15. Seriously. I don't understand why people do this. Everyone thinks that spending $800 on a shirt makes them cool. I think it makes them look really stupid. Drinks at nightclubs or music festivals. Why pay $20 for one drink when I could pay the same price for a whole bottle? Why go to a bar when you can drink at home in the dark all by yourself? Being poor. Those health checkups you have to put off because you can't afford the copay could allow something small to become a condition that bankrupts you. Having to pay high fees to cash a check. Having to spend more for your commute, gas tolls, train, bus, because you can't afford to live near where you work. Having to pay higher prices for a tier produce because there's no grocery store in your poor food desert neighborhood. The list goes on and on. Being poor is a huge waste of the money you don't have. A waste of large amounts of money? Smoking. A large waste of small amounts of money? Antivirus software. Stick to the pre-installed security essentials. Or whatever safe and free sheet you can get your grubby mitts on. Any fancy gift you buy for a boy or girlfriend in high school. Was with this girl in high school. We both loved Marvel movies. Both of us especially loved the Captain America movies. Her birthday rolled around and I ended up spending like $100 on this Captain America and Marvel themed stuff. She absolutely loved it at the time. I also bought her 2 pre-sale tickets to see Civil War since it wasn't coming out for about a month and a half. She ended up breaking up with me and used those tickets to go with someone else. Expensive cars. Those suckers depreciate at an alarming rate. I mean, they probably don't lose more as a percentage than a cheap car. But looking at a 2014 Lexus GS 350 with 42k miles on it, I see it's lost more than my brand new car is worth in value. Amazon Prime Day offers. The first Prime Day was freaking awesome. I bought so many things I genuinely needed. The more recent ones have been a glorified garage sale. Essential oils. There is no science to back up that certain scents are good for certain problems. Smell good though. Financial advisors. Sorry Edward Jones Partners. Unless you're dealing with huge sums of money, the average person does not need a financial advisor. Investment information is readily available these days and it's not hard to find a mutual or index fund that is right for your goals. It's just another person looking to siphon off some of your hard-earned money. I hate to say it, but donating to charity. Depending on the charity, your donation is eaten up by CEO salaries and company bureaucracy. Do research before sending that check. Make sure that cash is actually going toward the issue you're trying to help. Supreme and VBUCKS. Excuse me, but VBUCKS are an investment. Getting coffee every day. My friend buys it once or twice a day. That's about $100 a month and $1,200 a year or more. That's not including all the gas she wastes driving there. concessions at the movies, sporting events, arena stadium concerts, etc. At the movies, bring your own snacks. A few independently owned cinemas near me sell craft beer at a reasonable price, so I will buy that. At ball games and big concerts, pre-gaming and tailgating are the way to go. Going to college when you don't know what you want to do. Take a few classes at a community college if you don't know what you want. Get some life experience. Talk to people. Work some random jobs. Leave your hometown. Don't blow $30,000 to switch your major 5 times. Brand name pharmaceuticals like Tylenol when the generic ones have the same active ingredient at the same dosage. Out of state universities. Definitely. Especially for undergrad. Better yet, go to a community college for a couple years and then transfer. Much cheaper than going the full 4 years.